Welcome. This is Money Heart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing service without sacrifice. My guest is Linda Ann Stewart. She's a focus coach, hypnotherapist, speaker, and writer. Linda Ann Stewart works with women entrepreneurs and small business owners who have gotten stuck and distracted by shiny objects. She empowers them to focus, master their mindset, and manage their priorities so they manifest greater prosperity, well being, and freedom. She opened her private hypnotherapy practice in 1990, a few years after moving to Sedona, Arizona. About a dozen years ago, she transitioned her business to coaching women to be more effective, efficient, and productive. Over 300 of her articles on mindset, motivation, and empowerment have been published in magazines, newsletters, and online. Many can be found on her website, and her monthly coaching tip videos can be found on her YouTube channel. Linda Ann, welcome to Money Heart.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, this is great. I am really excited about this service without sacrifice concept. When we first got together and talked about this, I was like, oh, we have got to do something with that. I feel like so many times we get wrapped up in, I have to do something, I have to help people, I have to serve. And then we end up in a meltdown type of situation because it becomes overwhelming and we just take on more and more and more until the stack is so big we can't get out from under it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's what happened to me many years ago. I got over involved in community activities, and I
Mm,
I think it was like five or six, and was very involved in them.
yeah.
And I kept doing and doing and doing until my health started to crater. And that's the only
Mm,
thing that stopped me was my health.
yeah.
And even so, I started pulling out of them. And but one of them, because I was writing publicity articles for an organization, and the woman who was in charge of the publicity department started to guilt me and said, if you don't write these articles, the whole organization is going to crumble. It's
Wow.
like, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
just can't.
Hmm.
So I learned to say no. And what the gift for me out of that was, within 2 weeks, two other people had stepped up to take my place
Yeah.
to write the articles.
So the organization didn't crumble. It wasn't a crisis. The world didn't end because you didn't write articles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was a very, very, very powerful message to me, a
Mm,
learning to how to say no.
yeah. Yeah.
That was the beginning of my journey to saying no.
I love that. This is the beginning of my journey to saying no to things. Yes, because that's a hard lesson for many of us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to say that. Kind of tell us what gets in our way there. Where is our thinking starting out before we learn these lessons and kind of get used to saying no and prioritizing and that sort of thing?
Well, as women, we want to serve,
Mhm.
and we have been taught to serve, and we have been taught to take care of other people at the expense of our own well-being.
Mhm.
And the problem is that if we are doing it to the expense of our own well-being, you know the metaphor, when the mask falls down from the in the airplane, who do you put the mask on first?
Right. Put it on the child next to you
Yeah,
first, and then yourself.
no, no,
No,
no, you put it
no.
on
You have to put
yourself,
it on yourself and
because if
then
you
put
pass
it on your
out,
kid.
then you can't
Exactly.
take care of the child.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, guess what? Nobody else is getting the mask.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So we tend to, our impulse is to put other people's priorities first and our priorities last. And we think that if we serve, we are sacrificing. We have to sacrifice something that's very precious to us, something that's very important to us. And that's what service is. That's what we've
Mhm.
been taught, and
Yeah.
it's not.
And it's not. Okay. So what is it?
Well, service, the definition, because I looked it up,
Yeah.
The definition is the action of helping or doing work for someone. So
Okay.
service is an action.
Hmm.
Doesn't say anything about it having to be for free or having to give anything away, because service is different than something being a gift or a present, which is, again, definition is a thing given willingly without payment or expectation of reward.
Ah,
So what
okay.
we've done is we have flipped, we've associated being of service with being of giving a gift. Now we
Hmm.
can be of service, give it as a gift,
Hmm.
but we also have to have income to be able to support us to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to give a gift if you don't have anything to give.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, well, I had a friend who was a coach, wonderful coach, but she was in this mindset and she was giving away her coaching and she lost her home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then she had to
Wow.
go get a job because she couldn't coach. She had no. So, how many people lost this access to this wonderful coach that it could have changed their lives
Right. Right. Because she's not coaching anymore because she
because
had to
she.
go do something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When we give more of ourselves in exchange than what we receive, then, like you said, we get depleted.
Yeah.
And there's also an imbalance of power and energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's that imbalance, somebody's going to feel off.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
So
either
I like that concept because the idea of fair exchange, you've got to have equal
Mhm.
energy, equal whatever going back and forth, time, service, energy. Something is going both directions equally.
Yes, there has to be a circulation of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you're giving away something, you're giving away services or products
Mm-hmm.
that people know you should be charging for, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to feel indebted and they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to feel real good about it. They're going to want
Yeah.
to do something for you to get back into
Right.
balance.
Right. Yeah. Well, you end up with either they feel indebted
Mhm.
or you feel resentful because you didn't receive
Yeah.
something in exchange for what you gave. So
Mhm.
the whole thing just becomes a mess.
It does. It absolutely does. And a lot of times we actually underestimate what we're worth, what our time is worth, what our service is worth, what our product is worth. And a lot of times when there's problems with this serving and giving it away, it's not necessarily about the money issue. It's usually about something else. It
Mhm.
can be about self-esteem. It can be about some old programming, old idea that we were given as a child.
Mhm.
Um, it could be some sort of a judgment that we have on it. So it's usually about something else.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we start to figure out, yeah, because I'm guessing the symptoms we all know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You're tired, you're overwhelmed, you're really frustrated, you're upset about having to do the thing, but you feel obligated to do it anyway.
mm-hmm.
How do we start to figure out where that is coming from so we can deprogram ourselves? I guess how do we deprogram? How do
Okay,
we
how
get past it?
deprogram. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recondition the mind. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, there's an exercise that I will have people do, which is just start writing down whenever an idea or a thought comes into your mind about service
Hmm.
or about money.
Mm. Okay.
It could be money doesn't grow on trees, or to serve you have to give it away. It has
Mhm.
to be something freely given. I mean, there's all sorts of childhood things that we might have gathered over the years, or that I had another friend who was a coach who had somebody else convince her, because she was a spiritual coach, that if she was going to be coaching again, she had to, if it was spiritual, she had to give it away.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to her.
Hmm. Hmm.
She had no money, so she had to go do something else to support herself.
Right. And then she ended up basically not helping all those people she could have potentially helped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, writing down those ideas, that's the first step is to identify what those ideas are, because a lot of times they're like right underneath the conscious part of the mind,
Mhm.
but you'll find them kind of popping up.
Mm,
And write it down. Get like a notebook or one thing so you can start writing them down.
yeah.
And then what you can do is you can change them then. Okay, what's another way to look at this?
Ah, okay. Okay. So if you have like let's say that coach's concept of
Mhm,
you have to give it away if you're going to be a spiritual coach,
mhm.
then you sort of figure out which how could we reword that one? Like if we want, because this is a really common one. I see this one pop up a
Oh,
lot.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of this is distorted thinking, outdated concepts,
Hmm.
limiting ideas. But if you start kind of reframing it, it's like, okay, as a spiritual coach, what happens if I do give it away completely?
Hmm.
Just or charge nominal amounts for it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? What's the result of that going to be? What are the unintended consequences of that going to be? So
Hmm.
you work that through and then think about how can you shift that idea to be something that supports you, that supports your well-being, supports yourself.
Right.
And then whenever that old idea comes up, then you substitute the new one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And with the coach of really any type, because you see this happen, if you don't charge, one, you
Mm-hmm.
eventually end up going out of business and you no longer get to coach anymore, which
Mm-hmm.
means no one benefits from your services, your training, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also, people don't get the results
Yeah.
if you don't charge them. They're not invested and they don't do any work. So,
Unfortunately, that is very true.
yeah.
People tend to value what they pay for. Now, I have had clients who have, in my hypnotherapy practice that I would, because they were in a specific um, situation of lack, let's just put it that way,
Yes.
um, then I would give them a scholarship and I would do their sessions for free.
Hmm.
But that was very, very rare,
Yeah.
very rare,
Hmm.
because like I discovered it too, that if you, because I had, and one of those people started taking advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And so this person would start calling me at home, sometimes at 10 o'clock at night,
Wow.
wanting me to talk them through an anxiety attack.
Hmm.
And I finally had to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
And I also, at that point, learned not to give out my home number.
Well, that too. Yeah. Good plan. Good plan. Yes. Yes.
But that again, a lot of times when people, if you do give something away, a lot of times they start asking for more.
Mm. Hmm.
They want more than they really are, and that you are able to give.
Oh, yeah.
So again, it just becomes this hot mess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're a hot mess. The situation's a hot mess. So let's go back to this concept of saying no to things
Mm-hmm.
because it's super easy to tell somebody, well, you should say no to things. And it's actually really, really hard
Yeah.
to say, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to step back from this role. Do you have any suggestions on how we can make that a little bit easier within ourselves to get comfortable with that saying no?
The way I've put it to my clients is, when you're saying no to one thing, you are saying yes to another, and usually you are saying yes to yourself.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because when you're saying no to, good example, I I was involved with a networking group. This was some years ago, and they wanted me to take it over.
mm,
And initially I said, no, I can't do that, because I was already kind of overwhelmed.
yeah.
But they kept after me and kept after me. And finally, at one point I said, look, let me think about it. And I was going to come back with no again. And she says, no, I need an answer now. It's like, Okay, fine. Which was, oops, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And so as they started trying to give me the information of the people and so forth, I was getting no support from the people who were handing me the networking group.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally said, no, I cannot do this. This is way more than I expected. And I'm no, cannot.
Yeah.
And so again, for me, it was another lesson when I say no to stick with it. But there's also different things that you can say is like, let me think on it.
Mhm.
I can't do what you ask me to do, what you want me to do, but I can do a much lesser amount of it, let's say.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be no, talk to the hand. No, it can be okay. Let's find another way for me to help or do something. Or it's like that's just not my path. I can't do that. That's not for me.
Right.
And there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're starting out. When you get, and this was another lesson for me, was no is a complete sentence. You really don't have to explain.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's you don't have to give excuses or justify or rationalize.
Yeah, that is so great. That is so great. So these are super, super helpful. I love things like let me think on it. You really do have to get back to them. Like that's the one that I would caution people. Like you really do have to get back to them and say no at
Yes.
some point. You can't just leave it hanging forever.
And another part of that, one of my pet peeves is somebody says, either they say yes or I'll get back to you, and they never
Mhm.
do, and they never follow through. Whereas if they had just told me no at the beginning,
Right.
great, thank you. I can move on to somebody else.
Yes. Moving on. Exactly. Exactly.
So
So
no
yeah,
can actually be a gift to somebody.
it is. It really is because then they know that tick off the list, next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I find myself often doing the I can't do X, but I can do Y.
Yeah.
When somebody, I do this all the time with like the kids' school stuff, right? That they want you to be the homeroom parent. Well, my kids are
Hmm.
past that age now, but that
Yeah.
they be the homeroom parent. And I'm like, no, that's way beyond. I'm not planning crafts and figuring out, but I can send plates and napkins and cups. This is what I can send bag of candy. I can send pipe cleaners. I can send hand sanitizer. Like I can put it on my list and get you stuff and send it to school and help that way. But I
Hmm.
can't be homeroom parent. That's too much.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I feel like I've contributed and they got something they needed and I didn't completely exhaust myself and
And rob Peter to pay Paul,
right.
in
Right.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that's not my path. That's such great wording and not for me. Yeah, I love those. Best ever, no is a complete sentence. You
Yeah.
don't have to explain it. Yeah. Don't have to tell them why. You don't have to justify it. You don't have, and even if they ask
Hmm.
why, just no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember the woman with the publicity.
Mhm.
She kept pressing me as to why not, why not, why can't you do it? You've got to do it. It's like my health is cratering. Yeah, I was catching every single thing that was coming down the pike. So I was like,
Mm.
no,
Yep.
period.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if we got a little more used to that, we would reduce kind of most people's stress level by a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also be easier to have conversations on things like this. When there's a job to be done, it's like, okay, well, who can do which piece? Rather than trying to stick somebody with all of it, because that's always the fear, right? You say yes, you'll do one thing, and the next thing you know, you're running the whole event and everybody else is
Exactly.
bailed out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, women have to understand that we have to put our priorities first,
mhm.
what our priorities are, because otherwise we won't have any more energy or
Yes.
attention or anything to be able to do anything else.
Right, right. Yeah. And then everything else suffers because
Exactly.
can't You can't do it all at the same time. So.
Yeah, there's a healthy self-interest that has to be there, not being self-involved as the world revolves around you, but addressing our own welfare and well-being and putting that as a priority, as primary.
Right. I love that. Thank you. This is awesome. Such wonderful information. I feel like I'm hoping that we've lifted a weight for somebody today, that somebody listening is like, oh, okay, I'm going to say no and prioritize and I'm going to charge for my services, that somebody out there is doing that. What else do you have going on? What are you most excited about right now?
I have a new offering, which is called Stay on Your Course Fast Track Coaching.
Nice.
And it's a coaching package for a year that consists of unlimited 15-minute coaching sessions. The caveat is that there will be an assignment every coaching session. And once my client has done the assignment, only then can they
book the next one.
Schedule. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is this package is $9.97.
Okay. No calling your home number at 10 o'clock at night.
No. That's why schedule.
That's right. Yeah. Scheduling the next one after you've done the assignment from the first one. Very cool. Okay. So, and we can find that on your website, correct?
Absolutely. Yes,
okay,
you can.
So
well, actually, you can't find it because I don't actually announce it on the website, but you can schedule a consultation with me and we can talk about it further.
Okay.
And I also have a free gift that this is something I use with my clients.
Okay.
And it is a planning guide, 4 powerful steps to achieve a goal within 90 days. And it includes a video, essentially a training video, going to take you through the 4 steps, giving you tips and ideas of how to do this much more easily and confidently. And so you can register for that on my website as well.
Nice. All right. So your website is Linda-Ann-Stewart with a T.com.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. EWART. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yes, exactly. And Ann doesn't have an E, so now I got to spell the whole website.
Yeah.
So LINDA-Ann Stewart STEWART.
There you go.
Okay, so good. Anybody listening got that? Of course, I'm going to put it in the show notes so that you'll have a link over to the website so you can get that freebie on crushing a goal in 90 days. So that's awesome. Super simple right there. And then also to book a consultation if you want to chat with Linda Ann further about her programs and all the stuffs, right? Yes. And you've got your articles and things posted on there too, right? So
absolutely. There are a lot of articles and they're full of steps that you can use, things that you can do to change your mindset, change your focus, to get yourself moving, to get yourself motivated.
Okay. I love that. I'm all about things that you can actually use and do. I don't want to just read something. I want to go do it. So that's very cool. Love that. I love that. All right. Thank you. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. I'm a business optimization coach, financial educator, author, and speaker. You can contact me and find out what I'm up to through my website, CamilleDiaz.com, and follow me on social media at Cam Unfiltered. Be sure to follow Money Heart at Money Heart Show, and our website is moneyheartshow.com. Linda Ann, would you like to share today's money mantra?
I would love to. The mantra is, when I'm being of service, I accept an equitable exchange of energy or reward that benefits both sides.
I love that. Thank you.